Tonight, let us begin a gentle journey together. You may dim the lights. You may find a comfortable seat, or simply rest your head on the pillow. Let the weight of the day drift down into the earth beneath you. Each breath you take is a small release. Each exhale carries a little burden away. I will speak to you softly, like a friend sitting beside a fire, with no rush, no pressure, and no need to do anything at all. Only to listen and to let the words move around you like a breeze. Our theme this evening is simple, yet vast. It is about learning how to live with greater calm, how to walk through the world without being ruled by the storms of anger, or the tides of desire, or the endless cravings of the restless heart. We call it mastering emotional control, but perhaps mastery sounds too harsh, too strict, like holding a leash. Instead, think of it as learning how to be a river. A river does not control the rain that falls into it, nor the rocks that rest on its bed. It does not argue with the bends of the land. It simply flows. Sometimes wide, sometimes narrow, sometimes clear, sometimes muddied, but always it continues. In Buddhism, we learn not so much to control emotions in the sense of domination, but to understand them, to sit with them, to let them rise and fade like clouds across an endless sky. And yet, in daily life, we long for stability. We wish not to be shaken by every small thing, not to lash out in anger when someone cuts in front of us, not to crumble when disappointment arrives, not to be consumed by jealousy when we see others thriving. So how do we walk such a path? Let us breathe gently together, and I will share 7 reflections, 7 techniques, woven from the teachings of the Buddha and the quiet wisdom of those who walk before us. The first is awareness. Before anything else, we must see. If you are caught in anger, you cannot free yourself while blinded by it. Imagine being in a dark room, fumbling for the door. You stumble, you knock into furniture, you panic. But when a light is lit, you see the door clearly. Awareness is that light. The Buddha taught mindfulness as the beginning of liberation. To notice, this is anger. This is fear. This is desire, not as judgment, not as a scolding voice, but simply as recognition. I once heard a teacher say that labeling your emotion is like greeting an old friend. You bow and say, "Hello, anger. I see you are here in that moment. You are no longer fully lost inside it. You stand just a little apart. That little distance creates space, and in space, freedom can enter." Let us drift now to another reflection. The second is breathing with patience. When emotion surges, the body often betrays it first. The heart races, the chest tightens, the fists clench. The mind may not yet realize it, but the body already knows. In Zen practice, the breath is the bridge. When you feel anger rise, pause. Breathe once, twice, 3 times. Each inhale is like fresh air flowing into a smoky room. Each exhale clears some of the haze. I recall the story of a monk asked by his disciple, "Master, what should I do when I am furious? When I wish to shout?" The master replied, "Take 3 breaths, then take 3 more. If your anger survives the 6th breath, perhaps it has something to say. If it fades before, then you are only possessed by a ghost of the mind." The disciple tested this and found that often, by the 6th breath, the anger had indeed softened, like ice left in the sun. We do not need to destroy emotions. We only need to give them time to melt. From here, we see the third technique, understanding impermanence. All emotions rise, and all emotions pass. This truth is as old as the earth. Think of a wave striking the shore. It crashes with noise and force, and then it is gone. No wave has ever lasted forever. Your sorrow too is a wave. Your excitement too is a wave. Even the joy of laughter, it rises, it falls, it disappears into memory. When we forget impermanence, we panic. We cling to joy as if it should never end, and we resist pain as if it will never leave. But when we see clearly, we find balance. Pain is not permanent, and pleasure cannot be held. Both are guests who come and go. A Zen poet once wrote, "This too shall pass, like clouds, like rain. Why grasp the rainbow? Let it drift." And so, when anger comes, remember, it is only a visitor. It may shout loudly, but it will not stay forever. When sadness comes, remember the same. This memory gives us strength, for we no longer feel chained to what we feel. Now let us wander gently into the fourth practice, letting go of attachment to the story. When emotion comes, we often feed it with words. We tell ourselves stories that make the flame grow higher. Why did he say that to me? He always disrespects me. I will never forgive. Or, she ignored me because she doesn't care. I am worthless. No one loves me. The story repeats, like a broken record. It makes the emotion heavier, thicker, harder to escape. But the emotion itself, without the story, is lighter. Anger is just heat in the chest. Fear is just a flutter in the belly. Sadness is just water in the eyes. Without the words, the emotion cannot trap us for long. Try when you are caught to set down the story, to notice the sensation only. This is tightness in my throat. This is heaviness in my chest. Do not ask why. Do not explain. Simply feel, without narration. It is like taking fuel away from a fire. The flames weaken, the smoke clears, the air becomes breathable again. The fifth reflection is cultivating compassion. Often, emotions arise in relation to others. Someone insults us, and anger rises. Someone ignores us, and loneliness swells. Someone succeeds while we struggle, and envy stirs. But if we bring compassion to the scene, the emotion begins to change shape. Think of the one who insulted you. Perhaps they are drowning in their own suffering. Their harsh words are waves spilling out of their pain. Can you see them as a hurting child rather than an enemy? Think of the one who ignored you. Perhaps they are lost in their worries, blind to your need, not out of cruelty but out of exhaustion. Can you see them with gentleness? Even envy can transform when compassion enters. Instead of thinking, they have more than me, we can whisper, may they be happy. May their joy continue, and may I too find my own joy. The Buddha spoke of boundless compassion as the medicine for suffering, not only for others, but also for ourselves. When sadness arises, do not scold yourself. Place a hand gently on your heart and say, it is okay to feel this. May I be kind to myself. Compassion turns the hard stone of emotion into soft clay. It may not remove the feeling instantly, but it makes it workable, gentle, less dangerous. The sixth practice is seeing beyond comparison and ego. Much turmoil comes not from reality itself, but from the mirror of comparison. We look at another and think, they are happier, they are more successful. I am behind, I am lacking. This measuring mind is the root of restlessness. The ego constantly whispers, you must be greater, or else you are nothing. And so we chase endlessly, never resting, never satisfied. But if we see clearly, we notice, there is no race, there is no finish line. Each being walks their own path, through their own seasons, with their own lessons. A cherry blossom does not envy the pine tree. The pine tree does not resent the lotus. Each grows in its own time, in its own way. Why then do we compare ourselves as if there's one measure of worth? When you drop comparison, a great weight falls away. Suddenly, your life feels lighter. You can appreciate others without jealousy. You can rest in yourself without shame. And finally, the seventh reflection, choosing stillness. In a world of noise, one of the most powerful techniques for emotional control is to simply be still. When an emotion rushes like fire, do not pour fuel, do not wave the flames, do not run about shouting. Sit down, breathe, let the fire burn itself out. Stillness is not passivity. It is wisdom. The wise person knows that rushing to act in the heat of emotion often leads to regret. Better to wait, better to cool, better to respond later from clarity. There is the story of the Buddha, approached by a man who insulted him again and again, trying to provoke him. The Buddha sat quietly, unshaken. Finally, the man demanded, "Why do you not respond? Why do you not fight back?" The Buddha said, "If a gift is offered and not accepted, to whom does it belong?" The man was stunned. His anger dissolved into silence. This is the power of stillness. By not reacting, you let the storm pass. You hold your dignity, your freedom. These 7 practices are not rules, not chains. They are gentle tools, ways to walk with greater ease. Awareness, breathing, impermanence, letting go of story, compassion, freedom from comparison, and stillness. But more than techniques, they are simply reminders of truths we already know deep within us. That emotions are not enemies, that storms do not last, that peace is always available in the quiet space beneath the noise. So tonight, as you drift into rest, carry with you the image of a river. You do not need to dam it, nor control its every turn. You only need to flow with it, trusting that it will find the sea. Emotions, too, are waters. Let them pass, let them move, and rest in the still ground of awareness that is always, always beneath them. Close your eyes now, if they are not yet closed. Let the breath be soft, the body heavy, the mind like a sky with drifting clouds. May you rest in peace. May you find freedom in your own heart. And when tomorrow comes, may you carry this stillness with you, as a lantern in the hand, guiding you through whatever the day may bring. Let us return gently, as though we never truly left. The breath still flows, the night still surrounds us, and the silence between words is as nourishing as the words themselves. You may find yourself resting a little deeper now. Perhaps your body feels heavier, your mind softer, your thoughts drifting like small boats that no longer need to reach the shore quickly. In the first part of our journey, we explored 7 reflections, ways of relating to our emotions with greater ease, ways of stepping out of the storms. Awareness, breathing, impermanence, letting go of stories, compassion, freedom from comparison, and stillness. But wisdom is like a vast garden. One path leads to another, one tree shades another, one stream flows into another pond. And so, tonight, we will wander further into this garden, with no hurry to reach the end. Let us begin with a small parable. Once there was a farmer who lived in a quiet village. He had one horse. One day, the horse ran away. The neighbors came and said, "What terrible misfortune." The farmer replied only, "Perhaps." The next week, the horse returned, bringing with it 3 wild horses. The neighbors came again and said, "What wonderful luck." The farmer replied again, "Perhaps." Soon after, the farmer's son tried to ride one of the wild horses. He fell and broke his leg. The neighbors rushed and said, "How terrible, how tragic." The farmer said calmly, "Perhaps." Not long after, Soldiers came through the village, conscripting young men for war. But because the farmer's son had a broken leg, he was left behind. The neighbors came once more and said, "How fortunate, how blessed." And the farmer smiled and said, "Perhaps." This story has been told in many forms, but its lesson remains timeless. Emotions are often tied to our judgments of good and bad, fortune and misfortune. But life itself does not carry these labels. Life simply unfolds. We say, "This is terrible," when it may save us tomorrow. We say, "This is wonderful," when it may cause suffering later. To see beyond the labels is to rest in peace. And so, from this story, let us draw our next reflection. Emotions are often tied to the meaning we give events. When something happens, the raw fact is usually simple. A glass falls and shatters. That is all. But the mind quickly adds layers. "I am so clumsy. Now everything is ruined. Why does this always happen to me?" The fact was neutral. The story made it painful. When you practice emotional control, try to pause before you add meaning. Notice the bare fact. The glass has broken. That is all. The meaning can be chosen, or even left aside. You may even laugh gently, sweep up the pieces and carry on. Another gentle doorway to peace is through equanimity. Equanimity is a beautiful word. It means balance, steadiness, a mind like a mountain unmoved by passing storms. The Buddha often compared the mind to a tree. When a strong wind blows, a tree with shallow roots will topple, but a tree with deep roots will bend and sway, yet remain standing. Equanimity is those roots. It does not mean you feel nothing. The tree still sways. You still feel sadness. You still feel joy. You still feel anger. But you are not uprooted. You are not thrown about. Cultivating equanimity is like deepening your roots. It grows slowly, with practice, with patience, with countless small moments of awareness. And over time, you find that what once shook you greatly now touches you only lightly. Let us drift to another thought. Patience as medicine for the restless heart. Impatience is often a hidden cause of emotional turmoil. We want things to change quickly. We want pain to end immediately and joy to last forever. We want others to grow according to our schedule and ourselves to transform without delay. But impatience is like scratching at a healing wound. It only makes the pain last longer. Patience, in contrast, is spacious. It says, this too is part of the process. Healing takes time. Growth unfolds like seasons. Flowers do not bloom by pulling on their stems. When you practice patience, you become like a wide river valley, allowing the water to flow at its own pace. No rush, no force, just gentle acceptance of timing. And with patience, emotions lose some of their urgency. Anger cools when it is not pushed. Sadness softens when it is given time to breathe. Even joy feels sweeter when it is not grasped. There is a story of a Zen student who asked his teacher, "Master, how long will it take me to be enlightened if I practice every day?" The master replied, 10 years. The student frowned. "And what if I practice twice as hard with great effort?" The master said, 20 years. The student was confused. Why longer? The master smiled. Because if you are running so fast, you will not see the path beneath your feet. So it is with emotions. The more we demand quick control, the longer we stay trapped. The more gently we practice, the sooner freedom arrives. Now, let us reflect on gratitude as a softener of pain. When we feel anger, jealousy, or despair, the mind narrows. It focuses only on what is missing, what is wrong, what hurts. Gratitude is the widening of vision. It does not erase the pain, but it places it in context. You may be angry with a friend, but still grateful for the friendship that exists. You may feel lonely, but still grateful for the shelter above you, the breath that sustains you, the night that allows you to rest. Gratitude does not deny suffering. It simply reminds us that suffering is not the whole picture. There are still countless small blessings woven into every day. Sometimes, even in the middle of tears, you can whisper, "Thank you for the chance to feel. Thank you for the lesson hidden here." This does not make the pain vanish, but it transforms your relationship with it. It makes the heart less hard, more open. Let us walk further into silence now, to speak of self-image and gentleness toward oneself. One of the greatest sources of suffering is the way we treat ourselves in the privacy of our own minds. Many people speak to themselves with words harsher than they would ever use on a stranger. You are not good enough. You always fail. No one truly cares for you. These voices tighten the heart, and they feed emotions of shame, anger, and despair. The Buddha taught that compassion must begin with oneself. If you cannot hold yourself with kindness, your peace will always be fragile. So when you feel overwhelmed, place your hand over your chest, breathe, and say softly, "May I be kind to myself in this moment. May I forgive my mistakes. May I allow myself to grow gently." This self-compassion is not weakness, it is strength. For only when you rest in kindness toward yourself can you extend genuine kindness to others. Let us pause here and take a breath together. In and out. Slowly, gently. Feel how even one conscious breath creates a space in the middle of the words, a space that feels a little freer, a little quieter. This is the gift of practice. Not that life becomes free of emotions, but that life becomes filled with spaces where peace can enter. Another soft teaching is the mirror of relationships. Often, emotions rise most strongly in the company of others. Alone, you may feel calm, but in conversation, someone's words or actions trigger storms within you. Zen teachers say, other people are mirrors, showing us what is still unsettled inside. If you find yourself easily angered by arrogance in others, perhaps there is a hidden pride within yourself. If you are often jealous, perhaps there is a hidden wound of unworthiness. This is not to blame yourself, but to reveal where growth is waiting. The mirror is a gift. Each difficult person is a teacher, though they may not know it. They show you the places in your heart that need light, compassion, and healing. When you see relationships in this way, even conflict becomes part of your practice. Instead of asking, "Why is this person hurting me?" you may ask, "What in me is touched by this? What lesson waits here?" Let us drift again, softly, into the thought of simplicity as peace. The modern world is filled with noise, clutter, endless choices. And with these, emotions are often stirred. We feel restless because there is always more to consume, more to compare, more to desire. But when life is simplified, emotions quiet naturally. Consider the simple joy of drinking tea slowly, with no rush, noticing its warmth, its taste, its fragrance. Consider the calm of a clean room, where the mind is not distracted by piles of unfinished tasks. Simplicity is not about having little. It is about holding lightly. Even if you own much, you can live simply by not clinging. Even if you live with little, you can live richly by savoring each small blessing. When emotions feel overwhelming, often the solution is not more stimulation, but less. Not more noise, but more silence. Not more possessions, but more space. Finally, let us close this part of our journey with a reflection of trust in the path. Emotional storms can make us doubt. We may think, I will never change. I will always be at the mercy of my feelings. I am too weak, but transformation is always happening, often in ways we cannot yet see. Just as seeds sprout underground before breaking the soil, your practice is already taking root, even if you do not yet see the flowers. Trust is the quiet courage to continue, even when progress feels invisible. Trust is knowing that each breath of awareness, each small act of kindness, each gentle choice is shaping you, slowly, steadily, and one day, without fanfare, you notice what once disturbed you greatly now passes like a small breeze. What once burned like fire now flickers like a candle. And in that moment, you realize peace has already been growing within you all along. Rest now in this trust. Breathe gently. Allow the words to settle like dust on still water. The night carries you. The silence embraces you. And tomorrow, when the world awakens with noise and movement, you will carry this softness within you, like a hidden garden. For the path is not about reaching a far-off place. The path is about walking gently, step by step, here and now, with awareness, with compassion, with patience. And that the night is still with us. The quiet has not left, and so we continue our journey, not as travelers rushing forward, but as wanderers who enjoy each step. Perhaps by now your breath has softened. Perhaps your body feels heavy, anchored, calm. If you are lying down, the mattress holds you like the earth itself. If you are sitting, your spine rests like a tree rooted deeply in the ground. We have walked together through many teachings already. Awareness, breathing, impermanence, compassion, patience, simplicity, and trust. But the path of emotional freedom is wide. There are still more turns, more streams, more bridges to cross. So let us continue gently, slowly, with no need to hurry. Let us begin with a thought of illusion and reality. So often emotions arise not from what is real, but from what we imagine. We see a friend walk past us without a greeting. Instantly, the mind invents a story. They are angry with me. I must have done something wrong. Perhaps they no longer value me. And sadness or worry rises like smoke. Later, the friend explains, I did not see you. My mind was on something else. The suffering was not caused by reality, but by imagination. The Buddha compared the mind to a painter. With emotions as its colors, it paints elaborate pictures, beautiful or terrifying. But these paintings are illusions. When we cling to them, we suffer. To master emotional control, we must see when the mind is painting illusions. We must learn to ask, is this real? Or is this only a story I created? This question can dissolve much unnecessary suffering, like sunlight dissolving morning fog. Let us drift toward the practice of observing without grasping. A Zen saying tells us, let thoughts come, let thoughts go. Just don't serve them tea. Imagine you are sitting by a road. Cars drive past, some slow, some fast, some noisy, some quiet. Emotions are like those cars. They appear, they pass. But if you stand in the road and try to stop them, you will be struck. If you chase after them, you will grow exhausted. The wise approach is to sit by the roadside and watch, to let anger pass, to let desire pass, to let joy pass, to let sorrow pass. Watching, noticing, not interfering. At first, it may feel difficult. Emotions pull strongly. But with practice, you learn the art of watching without grasping. And slowly, the road becomes less overwhelming. From here, let us reflect on the trap of control itself. It may sound strange, but sometimes our very attempt to control emotions creates greater suffering. Imagine holding a ball underwater. The harder you press it down, the more forcefully it will rise when released. In the same way, when we try to suppress emotions, to deny them, to reject them, they often grow stronger. But when we allow them to be seen, to be felt, to rise and fall naturally, they lose much of their power. True control is not suppression. True control is gentle allowance. It is like opening a window to let air flow instead of sealing it tightly. The emotion moves, breathes, and eventually leaves on its own. So when sadness rises, do not scold yourself. When anger comes, do not say, "I should not feel this." Simply acknowledge, "This is here." This is part of being human already. With this acceptance, the emotion softens. Let us wander now into a story from the Zen tradition. A monk once came to his master, troubled. He said, "My mind is restless, filled with anger and desire. I cannot find peace. What should I do?" The master said, "Sit down. I will calm your mind." The monk sat eagerly. Minutes passed in silence. Finally, the monk said, "Master, my mind is not calm." The master replied, "Bring me your mind, and I will settle it." The monk paused. "But I cannot find it." The master smiled. "Then it is already settled." This story reminds us, emotions are slippery. When we try to seize them directly, they vanish. They are not as solid as they seem. The more we search for the mind that is disturbed, the less we can grasp it. Realizing this, we discover a great freedom. Let us drift gently to the theme of non-attachment. Attachment is the root of much suffering. We attach to pleasure, and we suffer when it ends. We attach to ideas, and we suffer when they are challenged. We attach to our self-image, and we suffer when it is threatened. Emotions grow heavy when wrapped in attachment. Anger clings to the idea of "I am right." Sadness clings to "I have lost." Fear clings to "I must not be harmed." Non-attachment does not mean coldness. It does not mean indifference. It means seeing clearly that nothing can be held forever. People, possessions, feelings, all flow like water. To hold too tightly is to drown. To hold gently is to float. When you practice non-attachment, emotions still come, but they pass through you more lightly. You feel them, but you are not consumed by them. You hold life, but you do not cling to it. Another doorway to emotional balance is humor, the gentle kind. Not sarcasm, not mockery, but the quiet humor of seeing how the mind can be dramatic, like a child throwing a tantrum. Once, a Zen master saw his disciple sulking in frustration. The master said, "Ah, the great storm has come. Shall we hide under the table until it passes?" The disciple laughed, and in the laughter, the anger dissolved. Sometimes, when emotions grip you tightly, you can step back and smile gently at yourself. Ah, here is anger again, banging on the door. How enthusiastic it is, how noisy, like an old dog barking at the wind. This humor does not deny the emotion, but it takes away its sting. It reminds you that emotions are not ultimate truth. They are passing guests, sometimes loud, sometimes foolish, always temporary. Let us rest a moment and reflect on the body as an anchor. When emotions feel overwhelming, the mind may race endlessly, like a bird trapped in a room. But the body can anchor you back to the present. Feel your feet on the ground. Feel your breath in your belly. Feel your hands resting on your lap. This is called grounding. It is simple, yet powerful. The body does not live in the future or the past. It lives only here in this moment. By returning to the body, you step out of the storm of thought. Many practitioners place a hand on their heart when they feel anxious, or rub their palms together slowly, feeling the warmth. These small gestures remind the mind, you are here, you are safe, you are not lost. Now, let us reflect on imperfection and the beauty of cracks. The Japanese art of kintsugi repairs broken pottery with gold. The cracks are not hidden, but highlighted. The broken piece becomes more beautiful, not less. So too with emotions. Your moments of sadness, your times of anger, your wounds of fear. These are not flaws to erase. They are cracks that can be filled with wisdom, with compassion, with golden understanding. When you embrace your imperfections, you no longer fight against emotions as enemies. You see them as teachers, shaping the unique pattern of your life. The angry outburst becomes a reminder of the need for patience. The sorrow becomes a reminder of the depth of love. The fear becomes a reminder of your longing for safety and care. In this way, nothing is wasted. Every emotion becomes part of your golden repair. Let us wander now to forgiveness. So many emotions linger because of old wounds. Resentment keeps anger alive. Guilt keeps sadness heavy. Blame keeps bitterness sharp. Forgiveness is not saying what happened was okay. It is saying, I choose not to carry this stone forever. Imagine carrying a heavy rock on your back. You grow tired, but you do not set it down, because you say, this stone is proof of my pain. If I drop it, I betray myself. But in truth, carrying it only hurts you more. Forgiveness is setting down the stone. The past remains the past, but you are free to walk lighter. When emotions cling tightly, ask yourself, what stones am I still carrying? Can I lay them down just for tonight? And now, let us return to the simplest teaching of all, the breath. After all these stories and reflections, remember that the most immediate path to peace is always available. The breath moving in and out. No matter what emotion rises, no matter how heavy the storm, you can always return to the breath. You can always pause, inhale, exhale, and rest in this rhythm. It is said that each breath is a small enlightenment, a reminder that life is here now, a reminder that peace is only one inhale away. So as we close this part of our journey, breathe softly with me, in and out, like the tide, steady, gentle, infinite. Emotions come and go. The breath remains. The sky is always vast, even when clouds drift across it, and so are you. The night has not hurried. The silence is still here. And so we return once more to our journey, which is less a path with a destination and more a slow unfolding, like petals of a lotus opening to the morning sun. You may notice how, with each part, the pace of your mind has shifted. The world outside feels quieter. Even the thoughts inside may seem softer, as though they are wrapped in silk. This is the effect of slowing down, of resting with words not as commands, but as companions. And so, let us walk further, gently, into the teachings of emotional control and the art of peace. Let us begin with a teaching on the middle way. The Buddha spoke often of the middle path, a life not pulled by extremes, not drowned in indulgence, nor bound by harsh denial. In the same way, our emotions find balance not through overindulgence nor through repression, but through walking the middle way. When anger comes, indulgence would be to shout, to lash out, to let the fire burn others. Repression would be to bury it, deny it, and let the heat fester beneath the surface. But the middle way is to feel the anger fully, to acknowledge it, and yet not to be controlled by it, to let the fire give warmth without burning the house. So too with joy. Indulgence would be to cling to it desperately, to chase pleasure endlessly. Repression would be to deny joy, to fear it, to say, I should not feel happy. But the middle way is to enjoy joy with gratitude, while knowing it will pass like a summer breeze. The middle way is not dramatic. It is quiet, steady, gentle. It is the art of balance. Let us drift now to the wisdom of pausing. In daily life, so much suffering arises because we react too quickly. Words fly out before they are shaped by kindness. Decisions are made in the heat of emotion. And later, regret arrives like an unwelcome guest. But a simple pause can change everything. Imagine a bell about to ring. The mallet is raised. If you strike, the sound will echo loudly. But if you wait, even for a breath, you may decide not to strike at all. In the same way, when anger rises, pause. When fear shouts, pause. When desire pushes, pause. This pause is a moment of freedom. It does not erase the emotion, but it gives you the chance to choose your response. And in that choice, peace begins. From here, let us reflect on gentleness as strength. The modern world often praises hardness, toughness, force. But in Zen, gentleness is seen as the deeper strength. Consider water. It is soft, yielding, flowing. Yet it wears down mountains, carries ships, and nourishes all life. So too with gentleness in the face of emotion. To meet anger with more anger is like striking stone against stone. Sparks fly, but no peace comes. To meet anger with gentleness is like water touching fire. The flames slowly soften, the heat dissolves. Gentleness does not mean weakness. It means not needing to fight every battle. It means resting in the quiet power that does not force, but allows. When you are gentle with yourself, your emotions soften. When you are gentle with others, their emotions too may ease. In this way, gentleness becomes a great strength, invisible yet unshakable. Let us wander into a story of the two arrows. The Buddha once asked his disciples, if a person is struck by an arrow, is it painful? They replied, yes, Master. He continued, if they are struck by a second arrow, is it not even more painful? They said, yes, it is. The Buddha explained, the first arrow is the pain of life. The second arrow is the suffering we create by our reaction. We cannot always avoid the first arrow, but the second arrow is in our hands. For example, you feel sadness. That is the first arrow. But then you tell yourself, I should not feel sad. I am weak. I will never escape this. That is the second arrow. You feel anger. That is the first arrow. But then you think, I am a terrible person for feeling this. I always fail. That is the second arrow. So much of our suffering is the second arrow. By practicing awareness and compassion, we can stop shooting ourselves again and again. The first arrow may still sting, but without the second, healing begins more quickly. Let us drift into silence as a practice. Words can soothe, but silence often heals more deeply. When emotions roar inside, silence can feel frightening at first. The mind wants to speak, explain, argue, justify. But if you rest in silence, you give space for emotions to settle naturally. In Zen monasteries, silence is often part of the daily rhythm. Meals are eaten in silence. Work is done in silence. This is not emptiness, but fullness. A way of letting the heart speak without words. A way of allowing emotions to breathe without being tangled in explanations. You can practice this too. When emotions rise, instead of rushing to speak, choose silence. Instead of explaining, rest. You may find that silence says more than words ever could. Now let us reflect on desire and the mirage of satisfaction. Desire is a powerful source of emotions, longing, envy, restlessness. We often believe, if I get this, then I will be happy. But once we gain what we wanted, the happiness fades quickly. A new desire arises. The cycle repeats endlessly. This is called the wheel of craving. It is like drinking salt water. The more you drink, the thirstier you become. Emotional control means seeing this cycle clearly. It means asking, will this desire truly bring peace? Or is it another mirage? Sometimes the wisest choice is not to chase the desire at all. Sometimes peace is found not in adding more, but in releasing the endless hunger. From here, let us consider fear and the illusion of control. Fear often arises from the wish to control what cannot be controlled. We fear loss, change, death, the unknown. But life is always changing, always uncertain. The Buddha taught that clinging to control is like trying to command the ocean waves. You can shout, you can beg, you can demand, but the tide will not obey. Instead, the practice is to learn to surf the waves, to float with them, to ride them as they come. Fear softens when we accept uncertainty. It softens when we trust that we can meet whatever arises with awareness and compassion. You cannot control the waves, but you can learn to breathe, to balance, to float. Let us pause and breathe again. In and out, like a tide, steady, endless. Even now, as you listen, emotions may rise. Perhaps a memory came. Perhaps a worry stirred. Perhaps a longing appeared. Simply notice them. Breathe with them. Watch them as passing waves. Already, by listening in this way, you are practicing. Already, you are walking the path. Now, let us reflect on contentment. Contentment is the quiet cousin of joy. It is not dramatic, not exciting, not thrilling, but it is steady, warm, nourishing. Contentment means saying, this moment is enough. The restless mind always wants more success, more praise, more possessions, more excitement. But the heart finds peace when it learns to rest in what is already here. Contentment is enjoying a simple meal without wishing for a feast. It is appreciating the friend you have without longing for different company. It is resting in the breath without needing anything else to complete the moment. When contentment grows, emotions like envy and restlessness fade naturally. For if this moment is enough, what is there to crave? Finally, let us close this part with the image of the sky. Emotions are like clouds. Some are light and soft, some are heavy and stormy. Some pass quickly, others linger, but all are temporary. The sky itself does not change. It is vast, open, spacious. It holds every cloud without being harmed. Your awareness is like that sky. Your emotions are the clouds. When you identify only with the clouds, life feels unstable. But when you rest in the sky, you see that peace is always present, no matter what clouds drift by. So tonight, as you close your eyes, imagine yourself as the sky, wide, open, calm. Let emotions come and go, like clouds across your vast horizon. You are not the storm. You are the sky that holds it. And so we return, once again, to the gentle path, the path that is not truly going anywhere, because peace is always here, waiting quietly beneath the noise of the world. If you are listening while resting, perhaps you feel the body sinking deeper, like a stone settling in still water. The breath moves softly, the mind drifts, and yet, somewhere inside, a steady awareness remains, like a small lantern glowing in the dark. This lantern is what we walk with tonight. Let us begin with a reflection on the nature of suffering. The Buddha began his teaching with the first noble truth, that life, as we often live it, it's marked by suffering. Not only great suffering like loss or illness, but also the small restlessness, the unease, the constant dissatisfaction that seems to linger even when things are going well. We might have enough food, enough shelter, enough comfort, and still the mind whispers something is missing. This whisper fuels many emotions: envy, frustration, anxiety. The teaching is not to make us despair, but to help us see clearly. If we do not recognize this restlessness, we will always chase, always grasp, always feel that peace is just beyond reach. But when we acknowledge it, we take the first step toward release, to say, "Ah, yes, this is the nature of things. This is dukkha, the unsatisfied craving, the endless hunger." In seeing it, we loosen our chains. From here, let us reflect on the second noble truth, the cause of suffering. The Buddha taught that the cause is craving, attachment, clinging. We want life to be other than it is. We resist what comes, and we chase what leaves. Think of a hand tightly grasping water. The tighter it grips, the faster the water escapes. So it is with emotions. The more we try to cling to joy, the more anxious we become about losing it. The more we resist sadness, the more it follows us. By loosening the grip, we begin to find peace. By letting emotions be as they are, rising, falling, changing, we stop adding extra suffering. This is not easy. The habit of clinging is strong. But slowly, with awareness, we learn to open the hand, to let life flow. And so we arrive at the third noble truth, the end of suffering. This truth may seem almost unbelievable at first. Can suffering truly end? Can emotions truly lose their power to control us? The teaching is simple. When clinging ends, suffering ends. When we stop grasping at life, life itself becomes lighter. Of course, emotions still arise. We still feel joy, sadness, anger, love, but we no longer drown in them. We no longer cling. We let them come, let them go. And in this letting go, we discover a freedom we may never have imagined possible. A freedom not dependent on circumstances, not dependent on others, not even dependent on our own mood. It is the freedom of being at peace with what is. And finally, the fourth noble truth, the path that leads to this freedom. The Buddha called it the Noble Eightfold Path. Right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. This may sound heavy, like a list to memorize, but it is not a burden. It is a guide, a map. It shows us how to live so that peace is possible. In truth, much of what we have been speaking tonight is already part of this path. Awareness, compassion, patience, stillness. All these are steps along it. Walking this path is not about perfection. It is about walking gently, practicing daily, returning again and again when we wander off. Let us drift now to a parable of the glass already broken. A Zen master once held up a glass and said, "To me, this glass is already broken. I enjoy it when it holds water. I enjoy the light that shines through it. But when it falls and shatters, I say, of course. For in my mind, it is already broken." What he meant was simple. Everything is impermanent. To see the glass as already broken is to enjoy it fully while it lasts, and to let it go without despair when it is gone. So it is with emotions. So it is with life itself. When we see clearly that all things are already passing, we are less shaken when change arrives. This reflection does not make us cold. It makes us grateful. Each moment becomes precious because we know it cannot be held forever. Now, let us wander to the ocean of the mind. Sometimes emotions feel like giant waves. Anger towering, fear crashing, sorrow pulling us under. In those moments, it is easy to believe we will drown. But beneath the surface of the ocean, the water is always calm. No matter how wild the surface, the depths remain still. Your awareness is like those depths. The waves are your emotions, rising and falling. If you live only at the surface, you are tossed about. But if you sink into the depth, into awareness itself, you find peace even in the middle of the storm. This does not mean avoiding emotions. It means remembering, I am not only the wave, I am also the ocean. Let us pause here for a breath, in and out, slow, gentle. Already, even this one breath reminds us, storms pass, the body rests, the heart softens. Let us reflect now on acceptance of change. So much emotion arises from our resistance to change. We wish to freeze time, to hold joy forever, to keep loved ones with us always. But life is a river. It moves. It cannot be frozen. The leaves fall, the seasons turn. The faces we know grow older. The moments we cherish fade into memory. If we cling, we suffer. If we accept, we find peace. Acceptance is not resignation. It is not giving up. It is saying, this is the nature of life. I cannot stop the river, but I can float with it. When sadness comes, acceptance says, yes, this too belongs. When joy comes, acceptance says, yes, this too belongs. And in this way, every moment becomes part of the path. Another reflection is on anger as a fire. The Buddha once said, holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intention of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. Anger feels powerful, but in truth, it burns us more than it harms others. The tightness in the chest, the racing of the heart, the restless mind, these are the flames inside. To master anger, we do not need to deny it. We only need to recognize it, breathe with it, and let it cool naturally. Sometimes, the greatest act of strength is simply to wait, to not throw the coal, to let it drop. In that small act, the fire loses its hold. Let us drift to the teaching of metta, loving kindness. In Buddhist practice, metta meditation is the cultivation of unconditional goodwill. We begin by sending kind wishes to ourselves. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I live with ease. Then we extend these wishes to others, to friends, to strangers, even to those we struggle with. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you live with ease. This practice softens the heart. It transforms emotions of anger, resentment, jealousy into compassion. It does not mean approving of harm, but it means refusing to let hatred rule us. When the heart grows in metta, emotional storms lose much of their force, for it is difficult to stay angry at someone to whom you have just wished peace. Let us reflect on the prison of comparison once more, for it is a common root of suffering. In the age of endless images, it is easy to compare ourselves to others constantly, their success, their beauty, their joy. And each comparison stirs emotions of envy, inadequacy, or pride. But comparison is a trap. It assumes that life is a race, that there is one measure of worth. But the truth is, each life is unique, each path its own. The rose does not envy the lily. The mountain does not compare itself to the river. Each exists in its own beauty, its own rhythm. When you release comparison, you release much unnecessary emotion. You begin to rest in your own life, your own path, your own peace. Finally, let us close this part with a reflection on freedom in the present moment. Emotions often pull us into the past or the future, Regret drags us backward. Worry pushes us forward. Desire pulls us toward imagined joys. But the present moment is always lighter. Here, right now, the breath moves. Here, right now, the body rests. Here, right now, nothing more is needed. If you return again and again to the present, emotions lose their grip, for they cannot hold you when you rest only in this moment. So tonight, as you drift further into rest, let the past be past. Let the future wait. Breathe into the now. Rest in the simplicity of this moment. And in that rest, discover the quiet freedom that has always been here. And we continue, not with hurry, not with urgency, but with a slow rhythm of breath. Perhaps your eyes feel heavy now. Perhaps your body has softened into the mattress or the chair. Perhaps your thoughts float in and out like gentle clouds, barely noticed before they drift away again. This is good. This is the way of rest, the way of letting go. And yet, even as the body rests, the heart listens. Even as the mind softens, it still receives. The words I share are not meant to fill your head with effort, but to wash gently across the surface of awareness, like water across smooth stones. Let us continue slowly with reflections on the path of emotional control, the way of inner peace. Let us begin with a teaching on patience. Patience is not only waiting for something to happen. True patience is resting in the moment as it is, without agitation, without demand. We often think of patience as passive, as weak. But in Zen, patience is a great strength. To remain calm while others rush. To remain steady when emotions surge. To remain still when the storm rages. This is deep power. When anger rises, patience says, "Let us wait before speaking." When desire burns, patience says, "Let us see if this passes." When sorrow lingers, patience says, "This too will change." Patience is like a tree. The wind shakes its branches, the rain drenches its leaves, but the roots hold steady. And so it remains, season after season, unmoved at its core. If you can be patient with your own emotions, you begin to master them. For in patience, there is no rush, no panic, no frantic action. There is only quiet waiting until the emotion naturally shifts. From here, let us drift to listening as a practice. Most people listen only to reply, but true listening is deeper. True listening is a form of compassion. When emotions rise in another, anger, sadness, frustration, the gift of listening without judgment can dissolve half the storm. When emotions rise in yourself, the gift of listening inwardly without suppression can dissolve much suffering too. Imagine sitting quietly with a friend who is in pain. You do not fix, you do not argue, you do not explain. You simply sit, open, patient. This simple presence becomes healing. Now imagine doing the same for your own heart. When anger speaks, listen without rushing to silence it. When sorrow whispers, listen without fleeing. When joy sings, listen without clinging. This is emotional control, not through force, but through compassion. Through listening, we make space, and in that space, emotions soften. Let us wander to a story of the monk and the scorpion. A monk once saw a scorpion struggling in the water. He reached to save it, but the scorpion stung him. Still, he lifted it out. Another man nearby asked, "Why do you help the scorpion when it only stings you?" The monk replied, "Because it is in the scorpion's nature to sting. But it is in my nature to save, so it is with emotions. Anger may sting, fear may bite, but our true nature beneath these passing waves is compassion, is awareness, is peace. If we return again and again to this nature, we need not fear the sting. Now let us reflect on ego as an illusion. Much emotion arises from protecting the self: pride, jealousy, insecurity, shame. But in deep practice, we begin to see that the self we protect is not as solid as we believe. The Buddha often asked, what is the self? Is it the body? The body changes constantly. Is it the thoughts? They arise and vanish. Is it the emotions? They shift like clouds. Where, then, is the fixed self? When we see that the self is a collection of ever-changing experiences, not a solid object, our emotions lose their grip. We feel insulted less easily because there is no fixed me to defend. We feel envy less sharply because there is no permanent me to compare. This insight is not cold. It is freeing. It allows us to live with more kindness, more ease, more openness. Let us drift to gratitude. Gratitude is a soft medicine for restless emotions. It does not deny pain, but it balances it. When sadness feels heavy, gratitude whispers, yes, but look, here is a warm bed, here is breath, here is life still flowing. When envy arises, gratitude says, yes, but look, here are blessings already in your hands. When fear trembles, gratitude said, yes, but look, you have survived many storms already. Gratitude is not forced cheerfulness. It is not pretending everything is perfect. It is simply recognizing what is good, even in the middle of what is difficult. And when we recognize what is good, emotions soften. The heart opens. Peace grows naturally, like grass in sunlight. Let us reflect on the mind as a storyteller. So often, emotions are fueled not by reality, but by the stories the mind tells. You see someone frown, and the mind tells a story. They are angry at me. You feel a moment of sadness, and the mind says, I will always feel this way. You face uncertainty, and the mind whispers, something terrible is coming. These stories are not truth. They are guesses, imaginations, habits. When you notice a painful emotion, ask gently, what story is the mind telling right now? Often you'll find the story is exaggerated, distorted, or entirely untrue. By seeing the storyteller clearly, you free yourself from many unnecessary emotions. Let us pause and take another breath, in and out, like the tide, always moving, always returning. Now let us speak of joy without clinging. Joy is a beautiful guest, but when we cling to joy, we strangle it. Imagine laughter with friends. The moment is bright, but then the mind says, I never want this to end. Already, fear arises, the shadow of loss. But if we simply enjoy joy, without clinging, it shines brighter, freer. This is the practice of non-attachment, not as cold detachment, but as full appreciation. When you hold a flower knowing it will soon wilt, you appreciate it even more deeply. When you enjoy a meal knowing it will end, each bite becomes precious. So too with joy. Let it come, let it go, without grasping. And in this way, joy becomes even more beautiful. Let us drift now to the teaching of the empty cup. A master once poured tea for a student. He filled the cup, but kept pouring until the tea spilled over. The student exclaimed, "Stop! The cup is full." The master smiled and said, "Yes, and you are like this cup, too full of opinions, too full of judgments, too full of self. How can I teach you unless you first empty your cup?" So it is with emotions. When the cup is full of anger, no peace can enter. When the cup is full of fear, no wisdom can stay. To practice emotional control, we must empty the cup, not by force, but by gently pouring out what is unneeded, releasing thoughts, releasing judgments, releasing clinging. An empty cup is not barren. It is ready to receive. Let us pause on the gift of rest. So often we push ourselves, even in emotion. We try to solve, to fix, to think our way out of feelings. But sometimes the wisest path is simply to rest. Rest does not mean ignoring emotions. It means stepping aside, allowing them space to settle naturally, like muddy water clearing when left untouched. When the mind is restless, rest. When the heart is heavy, rest. When the storm is strong, rest. In rest, healing comes without effort. Finally, let us close this part with the image of the lantern in the dark. Life can feel like a long night. Emotions can be shadows. Fears can be ghosts. Sorrow can be heavy clouds. But always, within you, there is a lantern. It may be small, it may be faint, but it never goes out. It is the light of awareness, the quiet presence that has been with you since birth, through every storm, through every joy. No matter how dark the night, the lantern remains. It does not fight the dark. It does not chase it away. It simply shines, steadily, softly. And so too can you. When emotions overwhelm, remember. The lantern is still here. Awareness is still glowing. Peace is still possible. The air feels still, the world feels softened, and the mind begins to rest in the gentle rhythm of breath. We have wandered together through reflections on awareness, patience, non-attachment, gratitude, the middle way, and the lantern within. Tonight, we continue further, not in search of answers, but in the simple art of listening, observing, and resting in the present moment. Let us begin with the gentle power of observation. The mind, when untrained, rushes constantly. It comments, judges, fears, desires, remembers, predicts. Emotions rise, and we are swept along, reacting automatically, often regretting it later. But the act of observation changes everything. Imagine sitting by a river and watching the water flow. You do not try to stop it. You do not chase it. You simply watch. Emotions are like that river. Observe them. Watch them rise. Watch them fall. Watch the currents and eddies, the whirlpools and ripples. Notice their color, their texture, their rhythm. This simple act, watching without interference, allows a deep calm to enter. The storm is no longer personal. The waves are not you, but phenomena passing through consciousness. Let us drift to a parable of the angry man and the wind. A man once ran through the village, shouting with rage at everyone who crossed his path. A student approached the master and asked, "How can I help him?" "He's so angry," the master replied. "Can you stop the wind?" The student was puzzled. The master said, "No one can stop the wind. It blows as it will, but you can stand in its presence without being blown away. You can be like the tree that bends but does not fall. Emotions are like that wind. Anger, fear, jealousy. They may blow around you, but your awareness, your rootedness, can remain unmoved. You cannot always stop the wind, but you can choose not to be carried away. From here, let us reflect on the impermanence of all things. Everything rises and falls. Thoughts rise, then vanish. Feelings arise, then dissolve. Even life itself flows like a river toward the sea. When you recognize this impermanence, emotions lose much of their power. Grief softens when we understand that sorrow, like all things, is temporary. Joy becomes sweeter when we know it will not last forever. Impermanence is not something to fear. It is the very rhythm of existence. To flow with it rather than resist it is to experience life fully, with less suffering. Let us wander into the practice of letting go. Letting go does not mean giving up, nor does it mean denying the reality of feelings. It simply means releasing the tight grip that fuels suffering. Imagine holding a rope tied to a heavy stone. You pull with all your strength. Your muscles ache. Your body strains. But when you let go, the stone falls. The rope becomes light. Your body relaxes. So too with emotions. Letting go does not remove the experience. It only removes the struggle, the tension, the resistance that makes the feeling unbearable. When you practice letting go, you allow life to flow. Emotions rise, emotions fall. You are not trapped in the cycle. You are free. Now let us reflect on compassion as a path to mastery. Compassion is often thought of as kindness toward others. But true mastery of emotion begins with compassion for oneself. When you are harsh with yourself, when you criticize your thoughts, when you judge your feelings, you intensify suffering. But when you offer compassion, gentle, understanding, patient, you create a space where emotions can settle naturally. Begin with the heart. Place a hand over the chest. Whisper softly, "May I be safe. May I be at peace. May I be gentle with myself." Then extend the same gift to others. Even those who frustrate, anger, or disappoint you are suffering in ways you may not see. Compassion softens the heart. It dissolves unnecessary conflict. It opens the door to inner freedom. Let us drift toward the trap of attachment to identity. Much suffering arises because we cling to fixed ideas about who we are. I am smart. I am strong. I am weak. I am a failure. These identities are like heavy chains binding us to reactions and emotions. The Buddha taught that the self is not fixed. It is a flow of experiences, sensations, thoughts, and awareness. When we cling to a rigid identity, every challenge, every insult, every failure becomes a threat. But when we see the self as fluid, like water, emotions lose much of their sting. Criticism no longer wounds as deeply. Disappointment no longer crushes. Even failure can be seen as part of the flow. Freedom arises when we release rigid identity and rest in the openness of simply being. Let us pause here for a gentle breath. In and out. Slowly, softly. Notice how the body and mind soften with each breath. Notice how the heart opens, even slightly, with each acknowledgement of this moment. Now let us reflect on the art of response versus reaction. Most suffering comes from reaction, the immediate, uncontrolled response to emotion. Someone speaks harshly, and we fire back. A memory arises, and we spiral into despair. A worry appears, and we chase it into the future. Response, by contrast, is deliberate, mindful, gentle. It is the ability to notice an emotion, to pause, to consider, and then to act in harmony with wisdom. The Buddha said, "Mindful action arises from awareness. Unmindful action arises from delusion." By practicing mindful response, we take back the reins of our inner life. Emotions no longer push us blindly. We navigate them with awareness, like a boat steering through currents, rather than being swept away. Let us wander into the mirror of relationships. Other people are often mirrors, reflecting back what is unsettled inside us. Anger in others may trigger anger in us. Criticism may awaken shame. Indifference may awaken fear. This is not a reason to withdraw. Rather, it is an opportunity. Every emotional reaction is a signpost. Here lies a lesson, a chance to cultivate patience, compassion, and understanding. When we see relationships this way, conflict becomes a practice. Every interaction, no matter how challenging, becomes a chance to exercise emotional mastery. Let us drift gently to the practice of small daily rituals. Even simple actions can anchor us, guide us, and soften emotions. Drinking tea slowly, washing dishes with attention, walking in nature with awareness. These small acts are not trivial. They cultivate presence. They remind the mind that the world is not only drama, worry, and expectation. There is beauty, rhythm, and calm in ordinary life. By returning to these small rituals, we create a steady ground beneath our emotions. Even when storms arise, there is a foundation to stand upon. Let us reflect on forgiveness. Holding on to resentment is like carrying a heavy sack. It weighs us down, pulls us backward, and obscures our vision. Forgiveness is the act of releasing the weight. It does not mean approving of harm or forgetting the past. It simply means choosing freedom over suffering. Even forgiving ourselves is essential. We may have made mistakes, hurt others, or failed in ways that weigh heavily. To forgive is to place down the burden, to allow healing, to return to the present moment with a lighter heart. Let us close this part with the image of the river flowing into the sea. Emotions rise and fall like rivers, each unique in shape and force. The river may rush violently at times, gently at others, carrying debris or sparkling in sunlight. The ocean, vast and open, receives all rivers without judgment. It does not cling, it does not resist, it simply holds. Your awareness is like the ocean. Emotions are like rivers flowing into you. When you rest in the ocean of awareness, you are steady, fast and free, no matter what flows toward you. And tonight, as you drift further into rest, imagine yourself as that ocean, wide, calm, embracing every current, every wave, every reflection, without needing to fight. The night stretches quietly around us. The air is soft. The world has slowed, and we continue together, not racing, not striving, but simply walking gently with awareness. Perhaps your eyes feel heavier now, your body more relaxed. Perhaps the mind floats lightly, unburdened, like leaves drifting on a stream. This is the gift of slowing down, the gift of simply being, simply listening, simply observing. And so we continue, through gentle reflections and soft stories, toward the mastery of emotions and the quiet freedom that lies beneath them. Let us begin with the art of returning to the breath. We have spoken often of the breath, yet it remains the simplest, most immediate tool for emotional balance. When fear rises, let the breath be a gentle anchor. When sadness lingers, let the breath be a steady companion. When anger flares, let the breath be a cooling presence. Notice how each inhale brings life. Each exhale releases tension. The breath is always present, unlike circumstances, unlike people, unlike fleeting thoughts. Returning to the breath is like coming home. No matter how far the mind wanders, it is always a place of rest, a source of calm, a gentle rhythm to follow. Let us drift to the teaching of clouds and sky. Emotions are clouds, sometimes light and playful, sometimes dark and heavy. Sometimes they stretch across the sky, obscuring the sun. But the sky itself does not change. It remains wide, open, spacious. It does not cling to clouds. It does not fear them. It simply holds them, allowing them to drift by. Your awareness is like the sky. Emotions are clouds. When you identify only with the clouds, life feels turbulent. When you rest in the sky, peace is always present, no matter what passes overhead. Even stormy clouds eventually drift away, and the sky, your mind, is always there, vast and unshaken. From here, let us reflect on letting emotions teach you. Every emotion carries wisdom if we listen without judgment. Anger may teach patience. Fear may teach courage. Sadness may teach depth of heart. Joy may teach gratitude. When we view emotions not as enemies but as guides, the inner landscape becomes a classroom. Each wave of feeling is an opportunity to practice awareness, compassion, and wisdom. In this way, emotional mastery is not about suppression or denial. It is about learning to walk with the full spectrum of life, using every feeling as a teacher. Let us wander into a Zen story of the bamboo and the storm. A young monk asked his master, "Master, why does the bamboo bend in the wind, but the oak breaks?" The master replied, "The bamboo is flexible. It does not resist. It sways, it yields, it flows. The oak resists, holds firm and breaks. The lesson is clear. Rigid minds break under the weight of emotion. Flexible awareness bends, flows, and returns. Emotions will blow. Situations will change. People will act in ways we cannot predict. Flexibility, like bamboo, allows us to survive, to remain at peace, to move gracefully with life." Now let us reflect on the quiet power of noticing. Awareness alone changes our relationship with emotions. When sadness arises, simply notice it. Sadness is here. When anger rises, simply notice it. Anger is here. When fear stirs, simply notice it. Fear is here. By noticing, we create a space between ourselves and the feeling. The emotion no longer overwhelms. It is acknowledged, observed, and allowed to pass naturally. This gentle noticing is a form of inner freedom. It does not fight. It does not grasp. It simply rests in clarity. Let us pause for a breath, in and out, slowly, softly. Notice the body, the mind, the quiet heart. Even in stillness, awareness remains, steady, gentle, unshakable. Let us reflect on the impermanence of pain. No emotion, however intense, lasts forever. Anger fades, sadness softens, fear dissipates. Yet in the moment, pain can feel overwhelming. The Buddha taught that mindfulness and awareness are the tools to navigate this experience. When you feel pain, do not resist it. Do not judge it. Do not push it away. Simply notice. This too is impermanent. This too will pass, like a wave crashing upon the shore. Emotion rises, peaks, and retreats. By riding the wave with awareness, you feel it fully without being swept away. Let us drift to compassionate curiosity. Curiosity is not only for learning about the world outside, it is also for learning about the world inside. Notice how emotions arise. Notice their triggers. Notice their subtle forms. Approach them with gentle curiosity, as if observing a butterfly. Do not grab, do not squash, do not judge. Simply observe. This curiosity is not intellectual. It is embodied, heartfelt. It allows emotions to teach, to reveal patterns, to illuminate the self. In curiosity, anger softens. In curiosity, fear becomes a guide. In curiosity, joy deepens. Let us reflect on letting go of should. Much of human suffering arises from the weight of should. I should not feel this way. I should have done better. I should be happy, calm, successful. These judgments tighten the mind, bind the heart, and fuel unnecessary emotion. Instead, simply notice, I feel this way. Acceptance without judgment is not passivity. It is freedom. It allows the emotion to pass naturally without extra suffering. The moment you release should, you allow peace to enter, softly, like light spilling into a quiet room. Let us drift to the power of small, kind gestures. Acts of kindness, even small ones, have a profound effect on emotions. A smile, a word of encouragement, a helping hand. These simple gestures shift the energy of the heart. Even more important, kindness to yourself. A soft word, a gentle touch, a moment of rest creates inner space. It allows emotions to flow without harsh judgment. It nourishes the soul. By practicing kindness daily, you weave a quiet web of inner peace that supports emotional mastery effortlessly. Now, Let us reflect on patience with time. Life unfolds in its own rhythm. Emotions do too. Healing takes time. Awareness deepens slowly. Understanding grows gradually. Do not rush. Do not push. Do not despair if change is slow. Like the growth of a tree, like the blooming of a flower, your inner life unfolds at its own pace. Patience is not passive. It is an active trust in the natural rhythm of life. Trust that every experience, every emotion, every reflection is part of the unfolding of your inner peace. Let us close this part with the metaphor of the mountain and the wind. The mountain does not move. The wind may howl, the storm may rage, the snow may fall, but the mountain remains. It receives what comes, endures what comes, and does not resist what passes. Your awareness is like the mountain. Emotions are like the wind. They may be loud, wild, and powerful, but in awareness, you remain steady. You remain unshaken. You remain vast. And tonight, as you drift toward deeper rest, imagine yourself as that mountain, grounded, calm, enduring. You have walked with me through gentle reflections, stories, and teachings. The words have been like a river, flowing steadily, softly, carrying you toward rest, toward calm, toward the quiet freedom that has always been within. In this final part, we pause, breathe, and rest together, letting the lessons of the evening settle into the heart. Let us begin with the wisdom of returning to simplicity. So often, suffering arises from complication, from overthinking, overanalyzing, overreaching. But the path of peace is simple. Notice the breath, feel the body, observe the mind, greet emotions as they arise. There is no need to fix, no need to force, no need to solve everything at once. Life, like a stream, flows. The moment you simplify, you discover a profound calm that was always waiting, patiently, beneath the noise. Let us drift to the beauty of impermanence one last time. Everything changes. Everything passes. Even now, the words you hear are fleeting. The sounds of the room will fade. The body will sleep. The mind will wander. Impermanence is not a cause for fear. It is the rhythm of life itself. When we rest in its truth, every moment becomes more precious. Every breath, every heartbeat, every feeling becomes a gift. Emotions, too, are impermanent. The sadness, the anger, the longing, all will fade as waves retreat from the shore. And in this awareness, peace naturally blooms. From here, let us reflect on forgiveness once more. Forgiveness is not about excusing wrongs or forgetting the past. It is about freedom. Forgive others. Forgive yourself. Release the weight of resentment, regret, and guilt. You do not need to carry it. It only binds you to suffering. Imagine placing each burden on a leaf and letting it float down a stream. One by one, each leaf drifts away. The heart feels lighter. The mind feels clearer. Freedom arrives gently, without force. Let us wander into compassion as a daily practice. Compassion is not only for great acts. It is for small moments, subtle awareness, gentle choices. When someone irritates you, respond with patience. When someone is kind, respond with gratitude. When you feel your own heart faltering, respond with tenderness. Every act of compassion softens the mind, opens the heart, and nourishes inner peace. It is a quiet revolution, not noticed by the world, but deeply transformative within. Now let us reflect on the nature of desire. Desire is a river that never ceases. It pulls us toward what we do not have. It whispers that we are incomplete. But emotional mastery begins when we notice desire without attachment. We may still want, we may still long, but we do not chase recklessly. We do not let craving control us. Desire can teach us, inspire us, and motivate us without becoming the master of our minds. In this balance, desire becomes a gentle current, not a raging flood. Let us drift to a final meditation on the mind as the sky. The mind is vast. Emotions are clouds. Thoughts are passing winds. Some clouds are bright, playful, joyful. Some clouds are dark, heavy, stormy. The sky does not cling. The sky does not resist. It holds everything. It allows everything to pass. You are the sky. Your emotions, your thoughts, your experiences, all are clouds that come and go. Rest in the openness that remains unchanged, vast, and free. Let us reflect on acceptance and letting life unfold. Peace does not come from controlling life. It comes from accepting it, moment by moment. The past cannot be changed. The future is uncertain. Only the present is yours. Rest here. Notice it. Breathe into it. Let life unfold without fighting, without forcing, without pushing. Even in the most difficult emotions, there is a space that is untouched. Awareness, presence, calm. This space is always there, waiting for you to return. Let us pause for a breath together. In and out. Softly, slowly, completely. Feel the weight of the body, the rhythm of the heart, the rise and fall of the chest. Let go of tension. Let go of worry. Let go of striving. Rest as if the world has paused with you, holding this gentle moment in quiet hands. Now, let us reflect on the practice of presence. Emotional control is not about suppressing feelings. It is about being fully present with them. Notice anger. Notice sadness. Notice fear. Notice joy. Sit with them. Observe them. Let them rise and fall without interference. Presence is a gentle teacher. It shows that nothing lasts forever. It shows that all things are connected. It shows that even in the midst of turmoil, there is a calm, quiet center that is always yours. Let us drift to the metaphor of the lantern once more. Your awareness is a lantern in the dark. It does not extinguish when storms arise. It does not flicker in the face of emotion. It shines steadily, quietly, gently. Even when fear is near, even when sadness comes, even when anger stirs, the lantern remains. Its light is calm. Its warmth is soft. It guides you, not with force, but with gentle illumination. Let us reflect on the freedom in letting go of control. Life is uncertain. People change. Circumstances shift. Emotions rise and fall. You cannot control all of it. You cannot master every outcome. But you can master your response. You can master your awareness. You can master your heart. In this mastery, freedom is born. Freedom from fear, from frustration, from unnecessary suffering. Freedom to be at peace, regardless of what arises. Let us drift into a final image of the ocean. The waves may be strong. The storms may come. The tides may turn. But the ocean is vast. The ocean is deep. The ocean holds all waters without being overwhelmed. You are the ocean. Emotions are the waves. Let them rise, let them fall. Let them wash over you, knowing you are wide, deep, and steady. The waves do not define the ocean. Likewise, emotions do not define you. Finally, let us rest in the present moment, fully and completely. Breathe, feel the body, notice the heart. Allow the mind to soften. All teaching, all reflection, all story, all guidance. It has been a journey back to this moment. Here, now, quiet, still, free. Rest in this moment as long as you need. Let the night carry you gently, deeper and deeper into calm. Let peace settle like soft snow over the heart. Let your lantern glow quietly, steadily, through all clouds. And remember, the quiet freedom of awareness, the vastness of your mind, the gentle power of presence. These are always here, always within you, always waiting. Sleep, rest, and awaken to this calm, no matter what tomorrow may bring.